Let me tell you something. The world we are in is now difficult. It needs you to actually possess real money, real cash. Look at what Britain has done. They have a mandatory ID card. And Tony Blair has come in now and said exactly what I was saying on Thursday.
For vaccines, you've got to have a proper digital infrastructure, and many countries.
Welcome back to CHRISTIANA Flourishing will motivate you with Gospel. Let's talk about the digital ID in UK. The man of God, Prophet Uebert Angel, has this to say. If you miss a proven video by the man of God, Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, this is the thumbnail. Go to my channel and check it out. Now let's listen to what the man of God, Prophet Uebert Angel, has to say. Subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next upload.
Sense of security. Are you flowing?
Yes, sir.
He came out and said, this will help us to see who has been vaccinated or not.
Because in the end, you need the data. You need to know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't been. Some of the vaccines that will come on down the line will be there'll be multiple shots. So you've got to have, for reasons to do with the healthcare more generally, but certainly for a pandemic or for vaccines, you've got to have a proper digital infrastructure, and many countries don't have that.
Now they are telling you why exactly they introduced the ID cards. It's not for employment. And they say if you act wrong, when you go to shop now in UK after October, you produce that card. And if they don't like your attitude, you can be banned from this shop and banned from another shop and banned from another shop. Link it with Revelation so you can buy, and nobody can buy unless they have that thing.
And you know, some of the reasons why I share videos.
Sign for the future, shaping the future of digital industries, shaping the future of the financial monetary system, shaping the future of health system, shaping the future of socially inclusive countries, shaping the future of education, and I could go on and on.
Well, we believe having the ability to save and transact is something that should be universal, and a lot of forms have adopted that goal. We won't be able to do that with traditional systems. That is, the cost of bank branches and paperwork is just too high. But fortunately, starting with countries like Kenya, and more recently with a robust system in places like India, we see that you can have digital financial inclusion. India is a great example. They did a lot of their own technology, which won't be possible for other countries. And so the role of the Gates Foundation as an advocate for those who don't have access today is to make sure there's technology and standards, including open source work that we're providing through the financial switch, which is called Moja Loop, and through the digital identity system, which is extremely valuable, not just for financial activities, but for health and voting and education, and that's called MOSIP.
Since there isn't going to be a one-size-fits-all solution, what is the role that you see the private sector playing in being able to collaborate with different governments to ensure that we move forward?
Well, once you have the digital money system, then there's all sorts of services and applications that can be built on top of that, whether it's helping with health or education or agriculture, giving people visibility into their financial status, giving them advice, should they take a loan, should they buy insurance, what makes sense. The phone becomes a connection for low cost interaction with those customers that doesn't require human activity that would be beyond the means of the people we're trying to get to who don't yet have these accounts. So the digital revolution, which of course was where I worked before moving full-time to the foundation, here we're trying to make sure that the developing countries have the benefit of the digital revolution, in some cases before it gets to even some of the rich countries who have legacy systems that people are so used to that the speed that they'll transition out of them won't be as fast as, say, China or India that didn't have that history. And so it's really learning what worked in China and India, and now making it easy for even smaller countries to do this, working with a lot of partners, including the World Bank, African Development Bank, many of them. So private sector will help these central banks create these systems, but moreover, the phone companies, the banks, and the entrepreneurs will build applications that use these financial capabilities.
Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
When you come to government and what government's doing, there are artificial intelligence tools, and some of them I know that Oracle have developed around financial management for government. But also, tell us a bit about what, because you're right at the forefront of this revolution, what it means for what government should do in terms of its digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
How do you take advantage of these incredible AI models so it can be consumed and used by the AI model? You have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data. And in the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they're incredibly rich in data. They have a lot of population data. The NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform. So we provide context. When we want to ask a question, we've provided that AI model with all the data they need.
When the government first announced its plan for digital ID, I didn't flinch. I lived in Singapore for years, where carrying an ID card was just part of life. Everyone has one, and it never struck me as oppressive. It was simply how society was organized. So at first, I thought, okay, maybe Britain is simply catching up. But then I started to dig. And the more I dug, the more uneasy I became. Because Britain is not Singapore. Singapore's political culture is different, its legal system is different, and its citizens have grown up in a world where ID cards are accepted without question. Britain has always been the opposite. We've prided ourselves on liberty without papers. You don't need to prove your existence to the state every time you want to live your life. And yet, ministers are now wanting to change all of that with the flick of a switch. From 2025, employers will be legally required to use government-approved digital identity providers to run right-to-work checks. On the surface, it sounds like harmless admin modernization. In reality, it's a gatekeeper system. No digital ID, no job. That's not a minor policy shift. That is a profound change to the relationship between citizen and state. So we're told this is voluntary, secure, and the magic bullet that will help stop illegal immigration. And all three are hollow claims. Voluntary, not when your ability to work is tied to it. If an employer is forced to use a government-approved provider, then so are we. That's coercion, not choice. Secure? Centralized identity systems are a hacker's jackpot. India's Aadhaar system, Estonia's ID card breach, repeated NHS cyber attacks. The precedents are not reassuring. And unlike passwords, biometric data cannot be reset. And stopping illegal immigration, the numbers don't lie. Over 38,000 people arrived by small boats in the year ending March 2025, up 22% from the year before. Since 2018, more than 183,000 illegal migrants have crossed the channel. Only 2,240 were returned in the past year, about 4% of arrivals since 2018. And visa overstayers, pre-2020 estimates put the figure at 63,000 a year, but today the true number is unknown because they no longer count. And the cash-in-hand economy, construction, hospitality, cleaning, domestic services, thrives completely outside formal checks. So, if this won't stop boat crossings, overstayers, or informal work, what's it really for then? Control, bureaucracy, and, as always, money. Here are the legal cracks. Human rights. Article 8 ECHR via the Human Rights Act 1998 protects privacy and family life. A blanket digital ID mandate interferes with that right